So many of the names we talk about every day, the Abercrombies, the Nikes, the PVHs, even the Adidases and the Columbia Sportswears, they've all sourced product out of Vietnam, and they have been doing that for years. But what happens when they start upping their orders, trying to hedge against China? Well, those production lines get stretched and those lead times get stretched. It all starts with raw materials, which, despite Vietnam's growth in textiles, still heavily reliant on China, close to 90% at this factory. Once the material's inspected for quality, it's spread out using automation and then cut into smaller pieces where it'll get ready to get sewed. This is going to end up as a component in a kid's hoodie. They try to use every possible stitch of material so that nothing goes to waste, less than 1%, which will eventually get recycled. And it all leads to this, the production room. 34 different lines, each with their own product and real-time targets. 1,800 workers under this one roof alone. This sign reads, "We love the factory as our home, we love the machine as our children." A big part of this is keeping employees motivated and happy. This is just one of the lines where they're making a fleece for Nike. Workers here make about $280 a month, well above the country's minimum wage of $170. And when they're done with the piece, they hit a green button that tells the production line whether they're on track. You can see the famous triple stripe that says Adidas right across from stacks and stacks of finished Nike fleeces, Air Jordans. All of this is going to get boxed and pressed and screened and get ready for shipping. Here you can see the finished product getting screened for pieces of metal, small needles, anything that might have gotten into the clothes during production. Most factories screen for metal once. This factory flips it and screens it twice. These boxes of finished goods are headed for about a 35-day trip on a boat, but they tell a larger story about a country now trying to make its move in global production. David and Sarah reached out to a bunch of those clients. No comment, really, and not a surprise. Customers generally don't talk about their supply chains specifically. But in the next hour, having covered the production element, we're going to talk about what it takes in Vietnam to get a good from the factory to the port, because the infrastructure here is not like it has been built up in China over the years, and that's going to be another challenge for this country if they do try to take some share. Guys?
Carl, I can never get enough of those pictures. Kudos to the team out there and to your shooters as well, just in terms of the factory floor. It's amazing to see all of those people working on all those things. You'd mentioned it earlier, you mentioned it again in the piece, 90% of the fabric still comes from China, but that would not, the end product still would not have a tariff on it because that's being bought by the supplier, is that right?
Exactly, and there's actually an interesting game that some play, David. You know, if you've been making stuff in China, what's to stop you from shipping it across the border into Vietnam, renting a warehouse, and then exporting it from Vietnam? They call it laundering the label, which commerce is now starting to get wise to, and they've actually been cracking down on some practices of that. But that's the thing that we're up against. Very complex supply chains. It's like a big string of spaghetti, and there's a lot of players out there. A lot of them are smaller, not well known, and willing to go out on that risk curve and play some offbeat risks in terms of strategy, business models.